person behind the Morgenne myth was accused of being a catfish and a alpha because it had come out that they had a relationship with Loyan, another myth who was portrayed as a young girl.
Accused? He admitted to being a catfish to Loyan. Mugen even sent you evidence of this and you left it out of the video. It took him 3 years to respond to this situation. And even worse, when he finally did, all he does is try to use the LGBT community as a get-out-of-jail-free card. What does his family being homophobic have to do with him refusing to tell a single person, including his lover who is transgender themselves, that he's transgender? Explain how she would have had an issue with this. Oh, right, because he still would have been lying to her about his age, claiming to be the same age as her at the time, 13, when in reality he was 15. Maybe that's why he said he gave Morgenne to a friend in a last-ditch effort to distance himself from the account, because he was doing creepy shit on there. And contrary to what he says, he was in a relationship with Loyan. He is not some scared, meek person who can't even tell a 13-year-old who has a crush on him no. He made public death threats against a child he bullied to the point of attempting suicide, and leaked home addresses on his account Walksworth, among other things.
The pedo accusations were also untrue, as they themselves were underage at the time of this interaction.
I mean, I guess, but it's still concerning for a 15-year-old to be so paranoid about being perceived as a pedophile that he'll lie about his age saying he's 2 years younger than he actually is just to make his relationship with a 13-year-old seem less sus from his point of view. This is also not taking into account Lonely's years of unexplained torture and exposure of personal information of random kids who did nothing to him, starting as far back as 2015 if I recall correctly, that he absolutely refuses to talk about, only finally kind of talking about the accusations which range from 4 to nearly 7 years ago. Yeah, if you thought the delay with the Loyan shit was bad, it only gets worse. The most he's done is indirectly talk about one instance of his home address leaking through this victim who is trying to cover up for him. Why doesn't the victim show us this supposed message of Lonely trying to warn him? It's almost like it doesn't exist. And about Walksworth, he could have easily proved he didn't leak any addresses on that account by making a recording of himself going through its sent messages. Bet he'll try now though that I gave him the idea with inspect element.
Not a lot of people accepted this explanation. Mugen refused to believe this explanation, continuing to boldly push the narrative that Hips was a catfish pedophile.
Yeah, it's almost like he admitted to catfishing Loyan, took 3 years to respond to the situation, and admitted to lying about his age, meaning we had no fucking clue how old he was. And mind you, we didn't get pictures of his ID until years later recently. I don't think Mugen was grasping at straws assuming the same guy who made public death threats against a child he bullied to a point of attempting suicide was also a pedophile with the pointless lying about his age in mind, which is still a concern, considering every single picture Lonely has provided of his ID has been fucked up in some weird, bizarre way so far.
As well as making claims that they drove someone to suicide. Apparently the story behind this is that Hips and a couple others found out that 1IK was behind a myth called Bobby's Here. I guess they exposed this information publicly, which led to 1IK, who was Mugen's friend, either faking a suicide or unsuccessfully attempting one. There's no evidence either way about any of this, period.
No evidence? We have a very big problem here. So if we forward to this section of the video, we can see Toastee scanned Mugen's Twitter profile. What's the significance of this? Mugen literally attached damning evidence of Lonely making death threats in his response to being accused for causing that child's suicide attempt, and Toastee is pretending it doesn't exist despite seeing it with his own eyes. He looked at this very thread and is leaving out the part where Mugen shows this screenshot. What the fuck? What exactly is the motive here in covering up for an actual fucking psychopath? And if you don't have evidence, then what is this even doing in the video? You could have asked Mugen about this event and a bunch of other things, but you didn't. Instead, you awkwardly tried to pressure him into a Q&A with thinly veiled threats of an exposure video, and tried to make him look like a fucking moron by cropping out any evidence of his claims he sent to you. Multiple times. It wasn't a mistake. You did it with malicious intent. So even if he did show and tell everything, it would have been for nothing. Toastee's malicious splicing of his conversation with Mugen only gets much worse. Let's fast forward to the part where he tries to change the topic after Mugen blows his defense of a child porn artist completely out of the water.
I myself tried to reach out to him for his side of the story, and I was attacked.
Asking you why you're defending pedophilia is an attack? Okay, buddy. This isn't even funny. This is just fucking disturbing at this point. What he's pointing out isn't wrong to ask here. Zeezy sent a dick pic to a 14-year-old, and you said, and I quote, that it's worth defending. You also defend Tatsu, who draws child porn and child necrophilia, You argue with Mugen about how Shota, a known child porn term even in Japan, doesn't mean sunshine and flowers over there either, magically doesn't mean child porn because you said so. If you look up Shota in any search engine, you get child porn. I'm shocked that you resort to trying to change the meaning of words in an attempt to defend an obvious pedophile, and simply disgusted that you suddenly try to change the topic after Mugen destroys your argument, instead of acknowledging you were wrong. If you were worse shit, you would have investigated Tatsu and discovered within minutes that he's friends with an art pedophile who draws toddlers being raped by animals.
I'm doing this just for clout?
Yeah, I mean, your own video literally proves that, dude.
Yeah, so he does say it's photoshopped and/or it's fake.
Why are you zooming in on that message when it has literally nothing to do with the content of this screenshot? There isn't even any wood in the picture Lonely took. What?
Because apparently, if you're 6'2" and 270 pounds, you can't look like that. And I mean, I don't know.
I don't know, guys. No, you wouldn't look like that at 270 pounds. Look at yourself, dude. You're really going to tell us you know better than bodybuilders? Even if you were eating trenbolone sandwiches, breakfast, lunch, and supper, and were diced to the fucking socks on the Sawzul, you would still look like a bloat lord at this weight.
Let's look at a 6'2", 270 pound man. Right here.
Look, wow. See, Mugen? So owned. You just invalidated your entire video, knowingly lying with absolute malicious intent. Great job. No surprise you went out of your way to edit this video yourself because you knew your editor would have a major problem with you lying and falsifying evidence. And for what? For a chance to revive your dead channel with some juicy drama, all while knowingly defending this fucking tool. Fucking gross, dude. You even call her a Mugen shill for speaking out about this despite the fact that Mugen has went half a year without talking to her.
It's not that far-fetched, it's just not. Especially since some time has passed since the ID has been taken. It's probably a little bit outdated. Some things could have changed since then. I mean, if we look at the actual picture in the ID, you can't see it very well at all, but it might be more feasible that that's a little closer to what you'd expect.
You mean to tell me in the 4 months you've worked on this video, you couldn't take 1 second to ask Lonely for a higher quality version of this picture that regardless very clearly shows he's not 270 pounds like it says on the ID? Do you have any idea how big of a red flag this is? Imagine you're pulled over for a traffic violation, you look like this, yet your ID says you weigh nearly as much as the world's strongest man. You're going to tell me that won't throw up red flags? You're going to tell me Mugen is grasping at straws for saying this ID is fake, when the first picture he provided of his supposed ID for some reason looks like it was reposted on Facebook 40 times before it got to us?
Here we are. As for the messages sent to Mr. Lonely, aka Morgenne, I think people are trying to call me a pedophile or something for that.
Yeah, sorry, this is a fake screenshot made by Fiddlepat. He's held a grudge against Mugen after being booed out of his community for refusing to disassociate from an actual terrorist who openly admitted to being arrested for downloading child porn, and another pedophile who tried to get a 13-year-old addicted to gore porn. The terrorist in particular also admitted to firearm theft and would constantly make jokes about raping toddlers, going into detail about it, the younger the tighter, and so on. Fiddlepat was shown evidence of all this and he just didn't care because he's a sexual degenerate himself, hence why he will gladly call people like Mugen a pedophile for the fun of it at the request of his friends and even openly admit it. He ported a furry pornography game to Roblox because he got irrationally angry one day after seeing a low-quality port of said game and had to prove it to himself that he could make a better version. Totally legit, bro. He exposed well over 100,000 children as young as 5 years old to pornography and has shown zero remorse for what he did to this day. He also refused to get away from Zeezy despite knowing he's a pred, the excuse being, "Oh, I just like to abuse admin in their game." Hey, at least Phil disassociated from the terrorist, you know, months and months and months after everyone disowned Fiddle because he refused to get away from the guy, even after he openly admitted to being arrested for downloading child porn.
Still, Mugen and his fans tend to bring this up like it means anything.
His fans? Every screenshot you've shown is of Mugen, not his fans. Nice way of twisting the narrative. Unlike Lonely, no, he doesn't use children and mentally ill adults such as yourself as pawns to do his dirty work.
Mugen claims they simply made up their identity as an excuse and as a shield to deflect any further criticism on the matter. Mugen will also cite inconsistency as a point towards hips lying about their gender, claiming at first they claim to be trans, they claim to be non-binary, which is apparently changing the story? A, no, they stated that they were non-binary in the same thread that they said they were trans, not later. And B, Mugen just doesn't understand gender identity. Being trans and non-binary are not mutually exclusive. Being trans simply means to identify as a different gender than you were born as. In this case, Hips is trans from male to non-binary. I can't even believe I have to explain that, but yeah.
In LadySarah's document, the non-binary tweet is conveniently left out. That's why it caught Mugen off guard. Lonely then tries to clown on him by saying this doesn't matter instead of acknowledging this is a flaw in Sarah's document. Also, I've asked a few trans people and they say you don't transition to be non-binary. You just are. Which is again why this ticked Mugen off. From his point of view, suddenly Lonely is no longer transitioning to male to female, as soon as he points out that he made no effort towards transitioning to female. It was an honest mistake at best.
He's even put out a bounty for evidence of these claims, but nobody has taken the offer up as far as I'm aware.
Yeah, I know the horror. He's looking for evidence instead of falsifying it like you do.
When someone brings the ID proving Hips' age to his attention, he just ignores it, so we haven't gotten a clear-cut response about that yet.
I like how you cut the context out of this conversation and try to paint it as if this person was unable to send him the evidence when he literally did send him the evidence, proven by the screenshot. Bear in mind, this is Mugen's pedophile ex we're talking about. Before he dated Mugen, he traded nudes with Taffies. He was 18, she was 16. Now you may say, okay, that's a 2-year age difference, what about it? He printed out the child porn. Then he pressured Mugen to make child porn of himself when he was 17, and when he refused, he began asking him how he should kill himself not too long after. I mean, just pause this video and read these screenshots for yourself. It's horrific. Then we have his behavior on The Lone Traveler, which is just as bad, if not worse. Later in Toastee's video, this guy tries to say Mugen is lying about his age and he's actually 25. With, of course, no evidence. I think you can see why now. This guy requested child porn from minors multiple times. He received it on one occasion. He very likely has child porn on his computer right now, and you use him as a source multiple times throughout your video. And it's not like you didn't know about this either. You scanned Mugen's Twitter and you saw these accusations yourself. You could have asked your editor or someone else to ask Mugen if he has evidence of this, and as usual, you didn't.
The general consensus is that Mugen is around 20 as of the creation of this video, but recently there have been rumors that Mugen is actually 25. Now, I'm really not sure which one is true, as there's not very solid evidence for either claim, or at least not evidence that I want to go into in this video. So to be more charitable, we'll assume that he is around 20. Because if he's not, and he's actually 25, that has some very different implications.
On a topic as serious as Mugen's age, we're going to start talking about rumors. Okay.
If Mugen is 20 now, it recontextualizes the posts from earlier.
These disturbing posts were not some brave but ultimately flawed attempts to scare off a predator, but just a 15-year-old boy on the internet doing what a lot of 15-year-old boys do on the internet, saying messed up stuff for the sake of being messed up.
Let's just casually pretend what Lonely did never happened again, I guess. When Mugen found out what the former members sent to Lonely, he scolded him and kicked him out of the group. There's a reason that was the last message Lonely was sent. However, these Discord messages Lonely was sent are not from the former member, and the proof is in the fact that Lonely was already sent the message on Roblox. What's the need to repeat it on Discord and then flood the message away with a sea of shock images so Lonely never even sees it? Oh right, the falsify evidence.
I mean, I can't imagine anybody over the age of 16 thinking that this is okay to post. At least, I'd like to think no adults would think this is okay under any circumstances.
I like to think an adult wouldn't defend a pedophile, let alone multiple pedophiles. Oh, wait.
This behavior is further backed up by the existence of an alt account all but confirmed to be Mugen by Humbug.
All Humbug is, other than likely being an alternate account of Lonely or one of his friends, is in short, a character that takes from the personality of all the members of Mugen, combines them, and then overly exaggerates their quirks to the point of being so painfully obvious it's not them, that I'm shocked anyone ever even thought this fuckface had anything to do with them.
This account was active in 2018, and there are many screenshots of Boston just being absolutely dastardly on this account. On top of just being absurdly cryptic / random with both of his messages, he would send gore randomly constantly. He also sent pictures of this 15-year-old boy child star or something like that, followed by creepy messages about young girly boys. This lines up with Mugen's behavior on his main account around this time. He was particularly focused on this concept of girly boys, giving the role in the server to anyone who he thought fit the bill.
Wrong. This is referring to the verified role of the original Mugen server, which was named Girly Boy, a reference to this message in Epic Rika's video about Mugen. Notice how your source, as usual, has nothing but word of mouth to back their false claims. The role was eventually renamed to Verified Member. Also, like I said before, it's no surprise Humbug mentioned Bill, considering he was the guy that Mugen would occasionally talk about like 3-4 years ago when he was 16. Here's an example, a lot different than the shit Humbug spews.
Most would think this odd, but it's in the past. I mean, he was a kid talking about other kids. Mugen did tone back these behaviors a lot over the following years, not really posting like this anymore, thank God. You could definitely say that he took these jokes, or I don't know, preferences too far pretty often, but it'd be fine if he just admitted that he was young and stupid and moved on, right? Well, that's the thing. He denied that he was affiliated with these accounts and has never apologized or really even acknowledged what he did.
Nice cropped screenshot, bro. Look at how hard you struggle to prove every single point you make. Took you 4 months to put out this video that should have been 10 minutes long at the most, and this is the best you can do?
Despite all of the evidence linking him to this account, Mugen denies that it was ever his and thus sidesteps ever addressing these things that he's done.
This is where you knowing nothing about Mugen just makes you look like a clown. Everyone knows he talked about this guy. It's not something he hid. There's a reason Humbug took it and ran with it. It's not a coincidence other people in his circle mentioned the guy's name with that in mind either. Also, why are you claiming Hans is his main account or something? Do you have a single morsel of evidence to back that? Who am I kidding? Now, this is Toastee I'm talking about.
But recently, even more evidence has come out in the form of a Vermilion post.
This isn't any evidence. This is literally just Humbug saying that he's Mugen. That's the evidence. Fucking word of mouth as usual. Can we have a single point that isn't backed by nothing but word of mouth?
To be fair, the evidence, while convincing to me personally, is circumstantial, and the Vermilion post is just from a guy on the internet.
Then why the fuck are you putting this in the video, dude? Why are you dramatizing it and acting as if it's like this big reveal? Fuck.
Hey guys, editing Toastee back. I know that we went through this whole section assuming that Mugen was 15 in 2018, and I said we wouldn't really look into the other possibility, but recently a post has come out with someone who's been, I guess, in the fight against Mugen for a while. I'm not really sure if he wants to be named. That has kind of brought up something important.
Something important? You mean word of mouth with literally nothing backing it?
So basically, Mugen owns a business completely separate from Roblox or anything, where he sells dolls or something, and he actually registered that website in 2018. Now, this is a full business, so in order to own a full business, you have to be 18.
We're going off the word of mouth of an unhinged pedophile who attacked a child after making physical copies of the child porn they sent him. That's your evidence Mugen owns a website and is lying about his age. And where the fuck are you getting the idea that he owns a business because of this website's existence? You're really stretching it, dude. You'll defend a pedophile saying Shota magically doesn't mean child porn because you said so. But when it comes to obviously false rumors that Mugen is 25 and owns a website that originated from deleted documents that never had evidence backing their claims in the first place, and another pedophile who has zero evidence backing his claims as usual, you run with it as far as you possibly can. You know what you're doing, you're sick.
And if this website was registered in 2018, that would mean that either Mugen lied about his age to make the business, or he was actually 18 in 2018. Or someone else made it for him, which seems pretty unlikely because he doesn't really have many family connections.
Since when the fuck do you know anything about Mugen's family? Can you attach one morsel of evidence, please? Can we have something that's not word of mouth for just once?
That would be pretty crazy if true, because it would really recontextualize a lot of the things he said around this time and make him just a genuine creep.
This is all Toastee does throughout the video, talks about rumors made by pedophiles as if they're true/damning evidence, then at the end of it says it isn't substantial evidence even though he's acting like it is.
But as that piece of evidence alone, it's not too strong.
Case in point.
It should be noted that Mugen complains that LadySarah and the others who opposed him didn't have permission to share screenshots, which for one is not actually true.
Ouch. The one time you do show something that isn't simply word of mouth, you get completely 100% wrong. This is Sarah responding to Mugen sharing this screenshot around of Zeezy lying, saying he isn't the one that leaked the messages, someone else did. This was revealed to be a lie that he admitted to, saying it was to make his friend Volix feel better. He did in fact leak those messages, which he cut the context out with malicious intent for the sole purpose to pay him as a sexual degenerate and even a pedophile, when in reality it was Zeezy who is the pedophile.
But later on he shares screenshots that he didn't have permission to, but in his case it's beyond permission.
You mean him releasing his conversation with a 15-year-old, where the kid admits Zeezy sent him a picture of his thighs with no pants on where you can see his penis bulging through his underwear? Explain yourself. Why did you remove the context from what you're referring to? What's going on? What is your motive? LadySarah is a proven liar and sexual degenerate. She used her experience in being a victim of the infamous pedophile BuilderGirl656 in an absolutely depraved attempt to say Mugen is a liar and that BuilderGirl and Coats of Claude are separate people. This is completely wrong. Ruben Sim, who exposed BuilderGirl originally, confirmed years ago they're the same person. Builder even used her first name on the Discord account for Coats. It was painfully obvious and proven beyond reasonable doubt. Sarah is simply praying the evidence was lost to time. Unfortunately for her, it wasn't, along with this conversation where she admits Lonely gave her some random child's docs that she used to threaten said child, along with telling him she'd burn his fucking house down simply for the fun of it. Before she was trans, Sarah tried hooking up Mugen with her 13-year-old friend completely out of the blue, even sending pictures of the child to him. When Mugen told her he's 16, she replied with, "So, it's legal, winky face." Sarah also immensely downplays what Lonely and his friends did to her. Lonely leaked Sarah's face and socially engineered her into giving him her myth accounts, which he then used to break into her main account since he used the same password. Lonely's friend Crying also leaked family videos. I like how she claims Lonely's friend wasn't emotionally abusive either. Sorry, Sarah, evidence of her actions wasn't lost to time either. With Sarah's shameless sexual degeneracy and borderline psychopathy in mind, it's no surprise she would cover up for her abuser like this. Someone this mentally unstable has no say in anything. She maliciously lies about V0 in the beginning of this document that's supposed to be about Mugen, saying Zero sent this random person gore, followed by a comically long blank page and then a screenshot blanking out this image which isn't even gore. Here's the original proving Sarah lied, again, as usual. Sarah was in contact with a former Mugen member who sent this empty threat to Lonely. She knew this message was nothing more than an empty threat in an attempt to scare Lonely off the platform so he wouldn't cause a death, since he already came frighteningly close to doing so. And now she's pretending she had no involvement and that Mugen himself sent this message, when he never condoned this action.
As the drama surrounding Mugen continued, more documents would be released, serving as organized responses to Mugen's unorganized manner of communication.
That's your opinion, not a fact. Not a single adult, besides yourself and Mugen's pedophile ex-boyfriends, take any of the documents you just listed seriously because all it takes is a glance to realize they're loads of horseshit. Look no further than this piece of work. You call this actual schizophrenic psychobabble an organized response. Did you even read this? Did you even glance at this? What am I even supposed to be looking at right now? He has denied the pedophilic actions of the user One I Know. Oh my fucking god.
Towards the end of 2021, as the drama concerning Morgenne began to fade, someone new would come into the picture.
Someone who I can't really talk about anymore.
Yet you proceed to talk about him regardless even though the situation is under control, throwing your old version of the part relaying to Zeezy in the mix where you defend him and say what Zeezy sent to kids was again worth defending. What a joke. The rest of what he talks about is not for this video, that'll be for another. I will say though, I find it deeply disturbing that Toastee defends Wizord terrorizing an innocent household that didn't even belong to Mugen in an attempt to silence him because he dared to make a YouTube video on the fact that Wizord is advertising multiple pedophiles simply because he apologized. He didn't apologize, he downplayed what he did immensely. His mic died in the middle of said apology, and he literally stated that he does not apologize to Mugen, rather to his fans for disturbing them with what he did, lying about it, saying it was a joke. Ask yourself, what is supposed to be funny about this? And you'll see how much of a lie this is. You even defend what he did, saying, oh, he only sent the information to his friends, bro. So in other words, we're saying the exact same fucking thing. Yes, he did leak what he thought was Mugen's home address, job occupation, and a picture of his house like wildfire. Why are you using mental gymnastics to say he didn't when you literally say yourself that he did? You are infantile and have no say in any serious subjects. Stick to shitty iceberg videos, dude.